Welcome, Facebook friends and family and followers. We're live. I have some content that has come to light, come to me, been channeling, and I felt compelled to come on here and to talk. So I am Tanya Tomasevich. I am from the Facebook group Intuitive Minds Already Know. I perform and provide oracle card readings on the side. That's my side hustle. So a couple topics, lots of topics actually. Because if you know me, hello Tim. If you know me and you've been following, I kind of have many branches of how I talk about my topics. It's a safe space here in Intuitive Minds Already Know. I embrace and welcome and encourage you to ask questions and comment. That's what this group is about. So I pulled some cards already. I'll read from the book. I'll speak from experience, and I will express some of the messages that have been coming to me lately. So, hello, Amanda. So there's three topics that I want to get to. The first one is true to yourself. The second one is point of no return. And the third one is boundaries. And I'm probably going to jump all over because that's where the content is. So I pulled some cards, and I think the first one that I want to talk about is probably the point of no return, because I gave some advice to a dear friend of mine that was struggling this morning, and that word kept coming up as I was channeling the advice that I was giving her. So I'm just going to read this card from Angela Rose's self-love deck. So keep in mind what I'm going to talk about when I'm reading this card. So the topic is point of no return. So you keep regurgitating that word, those words in your head as I read this and as I talk. And then feel free to comment and ask questions. Come home to you. Life can feel challenging when we are faced with something hard. In the discomfort of situations, it's normal to want to escape or run from it. Be with the discomfort. Be with the grief. Be with the emotions that want to move through you. You are not alone. It will get better. Just be you with your soul. Do you need to cry? Do you need to be angry? Do you need to laugh, journal, play, or do you need to sleep? Be with you. Mantra: I am not alone. I am safe and I am loved. So what is coming forward, and what came forward today in the conversation with a dear friend of mine this morning, was when we do our shadow work. And what I mean by shadow work, and you don't have to be in a spiritual journey to be shadow work. And if you've been following me, I talk a lot about dealing with your shit. And that is everything inside you, from your preconditioned as a child, from childhood trauma, or any trauma that you've experienced, or things that you set aside and that you keep deep down and you repress. For years, I was a habitual repressor. I knew I was. So that was one of my things I needed to work on when I decided to join this spiritual journey. And that made a lot of space. Each time I not resisted, but surrendered to repressing some of my emotions, I made room for more and more things to come forward. So as we release and as we let go and as we forgive and we start really dealing with our shit, there's always more shit that's really tucked in deep. So the point of no return is when you come into a struggle of something in your life and you're like, this doesn't feel right. and you try everything to get through it, no matter what it is. Now, pain is on purpose. Pain is on purpose. And our egos want to hold us back. Our egos are there for protection. That's our safe space. That's our comfort zone. And if we can push past ego and push to the ledge, basically, of that, jumping off point where we're like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want my voice to be heard. I don't want to repress anymore. I don't want to feel bad and sad and sick, because sometimes those things that we don't deal with inside, they come out in disease, in ailments, pain, discomfort, lack of sleep, hello, Jody. And so when we get to that point, we have to push ourselves beyond that. It's like an athlete. If they want to get to a certain miles in the day that they want to run, well, of course, you have to go beyond your comfort zone. Bodybuilders, if they want to get a certain weight, or they want to lift a certain weight, well, of course, you have to go beyond that. You have to break away from those comfort zones and get out of ego. That's where we feel safe. But that's not where a lot of growth and where a lot of expanding happens. The magical part is when we break free of ego. We don't have to get rid of ego. Ego's there to protect us. It's good. It's a signal that says, hey, this isn't good. This isn't good. So let's dial it back down and start being self-aware. But when we can break free and break out of ego, it is the point of no return, because it's precedence. Once we get through that particular thing that's in your life, and it may be something new, it may be something that keeps coming up, because what was talked about in this conversation was we revert, because we get so far dealing with it that we're like, oh, I want to deal with this so bad. I don't want to feel this way, but it hurts so bad and I don't want to feel this way. So I'm just going to go back. I'm just going to revert, and I'm just going to go back to feeling the way I was. And I'm going to find distraction so that I don't have to deal with that pain. Well, what happens? You forget about it, you repress it, but it's still there, and it's going to come up again. It's going to resurface again until you actually deal with it the way you need to deal with it. So getting past that point of no return is precedence, and it's growth, because if you end up in that situation again, or maybe some of those, feelings start to coming back, you know exactly what they feel like because it's familiar, and you know exactly what to do to move past it because you've already done it. So point of no return is powerful. Not that it won't return, but you don't have to be there and sit in there. You can move past it. That's the point of no return, because you don't have to feel that way. Even though those feelings might resurface a little bit, or memories of how that did feel, or a certain situation might feel familiar like this. A breakup might, for instance, I'll categorize this. So like a breakup feels very painful. Now you might have those same experiences and those same emotions dealing with a death or a grief or a loss. But you can utilize how you got through it and what you did to get through it to deal with this new situation. Do you see what I'm talking about? Does this make sense? All right. Comment, questions. That's the point of no return topic. The next topic we're going to talk about is truth. Being true to yourself. And what came forward lately, because I had a major shift. I had a major release this last week. There was some things in my life that I thought I had dealt with, and apparently I had not dealt with them enough. So universe brings them back in full circle, and I actually feel really good about my release. I felt really shifted. I felt like I learned something this time, even though the topic that the topic or the situation that I had to basically relive the pain and the shame and the guilt. It was more powerful this time than it was a couple months ago when I actually had to confess or admit the situation. And, you know, the universe will only provide us what the universe knows we can handle. And so that's why if you're thinking, why is this happening now? Well, it's because you weren't ready back then, or you didn't have the tools and the knowledge or the support system to get through it. So as you release and deal with your shit, it gets easier and easier to use how you dealt with each one for the next one. And that's why growing and expanding is so wonderful in your everyday journey as well as a spiritual journey. And there's always somebody that either has gone through it or is going through it. And it seems like in my network, in my spiritual journey network, it's always like a common theme. I can think of 2 other people that are kind of experiencing the same kind of situation and the same kind of emotions that I'm going through. So it's nice to have that support system. Being true to yourself means, you know, being true to yourself is actually taking time for yourself to, number one, be self-aware of how you feel. Now, we are given feelings and emotions as signals to say, hey, something's not right, because the body, it wants to feel good. That's its job. And when we don't, that's a signal of saying, hey, something's not right. You need to shift something. You need to give up something or work towards something to get that feel good back. Who doesn't want to feel good? Who doesn't want to feel better? And that's why it's hard to get beyond that point of no return, because there's a lot of folks out there, including myself, that when stuff starts festering, I'm self-aware and I know exactly what it feels like now, and I know exactly what certain emotions feel like, and certain areas of my past that are resurfacing. And because I have done so much of my shadow work and looked really within, I'm aware of what those feel like. So I kind of know a couple days in advance of, something's coming up. I need to take time. Just this last Monday, I left work early because I listened to my body, I listened to my emotions, and I was like, oh, this feels familiar. And I just had to take a mental health day and truly just come home and do, you know, my normal, whatever it is, pulling of the cards or meditating or channeling my spirit guides or, you know, just getting more rest. Rest is crucial. You know, when we're go all the time and we don't get enough rest, our cortisol levels are all out of whack and we don't feel like we should. We don't feel good. So it's okay. I knew what was happening. I decided to leave work because I knew that I would not be productive if I would have stayed there. And honestly, it made so much sense because I actually came home and I dealt with my shit, whatever that looks like to you. So pushing past the pain is on purpose. The pain is going to get us to that level, the point of no return. Does that make sense? Please ask a question. Because when we just sit in our little autopilot mode and we're like, oh, you know, I'm going through this and it sucks. I hear so many people, you know, when I'm asking them, hey, how you doing? You know, and we initiate a conversation and it, you know, it goes to more than, oh, I'm fine. because a lot of people just want to say, oh, I'm fine, or okay. But 9 chances out of 10, my intuition will kick in and I will sense that something is not quite okay. So the conversation of just, hi, are you okay? Yes, no, kind of gets a little bit deeper than that, because I'm intuitive and spirit will turn on and I have to ask a bunch of questions. And so what comes forward is, learn to recognize when you are not okay, because that's a signal that something needs to shift, something needs to be done, whether you need to just think about it, or maybe you need to say something, or maybe you need to change something, maybe you need to give up something, maybe you need to tell somebody something, maybe you've been hanging on to something. Hello, Karen. Maybe something needs to be released. Maybe you need to forgive somebody for something. And maybe it's just a timeout. Maybe you're just, go, and you don't take enough time self-care. Learn to recognize when your body is telling you things, because that's what emotions are for. They are, the signals. They're the signs that tell us, hey, something is not right and you need to do something about it. And accept what they are, and accept that they're yours. They're not nobody else's, and you need to deal with them on your own. And you can't just hide them away and put them away, because that does not work. Trust me. Oh, Terry's watching. Hello, sister. You cannot repress them for very long, because you won't feel very good, and then you'll get tired of not feeling very good. So trust me, repressing is not the answer. So being true to yourself is crucial. And when you are true to yourself in what you want and how you feel, and you're recognizing all those signs, that's where the third topic is going to come into play, and that's boundaries. So I did not pick a random card, because I wanted this card to represent the boundaries message. Sarah Michaels is watching. Lots of people on a Saturday night. Woohoo! I love it. I love it. I love it. Please comment. Please ask questions, you guys. This is the One Ring Circus card, and the message in here is about boundaries. So who is struggling with boundaries lately? And that is a deep topic, because boundaries can be set within yourself. Like boundaries, like, okay, I am not going to let myself get too absorbed in a thought, or get too absorbed in something that I know I can't control, or consumed by, some kind of extra drama, whether it's at work or with your family or with your close-knit friends or your group. And we'll get to that. We'll get to the boundary part of the people in your life. Boundaries are very important. I didn't know how important they were until I was listening to one of my favorite podcast groups called the Intuitive Girls Guide, and I think I posted it already on the group. So if you have not listened to that podcast, I had to listen to it twice, because there was so much helpful information in there. I had to take notes. So some of the notes and some of the concepts I have wrote down, and that's what I'm gonna share, is a lot of those. So this One Ring Circus card, I'm going to read it to you. I just want you guys to look at it. So the One Ring Circus card. You are capable and competent. Independence is key now as you step into your journey today. Others may not have the vision or resources that you need. Recognize all the wisdom you've acquired along the way makes you particularly competent, capable of moving forward with assurance, point of no return. Self-reliance is important. Another aspect to consider is creating and maintaining clear boundaries between you and another. Be discerning about your partnerships at this time. When you know who you are, that's who you're looking inside, look in, trust, truth, and have a healthy sense of where you end and where others begin, you're able to enter into the best kind of relationship and will attract people who mirror back your wholeness. Interdependent relationships are always mutually supportive, stimulating, and transformative. You can achieve anything at this time. So when I read that, and it says, when you know who you are and have a healthy sense of where you end and others begin, that's the boundaries. You're able to enter into the best kind of relationship. So some of the advice that was given this morning to that client was when you have when you have those relationships, and those relationships, whether it be with family or work or the people in your close-knit, your household, friends, or people that you just, that you run into, casual acquaintances. And that you have to fix what's not wrong, because there's nothing wrong with you. There's just things that need tweaking inside you. You cannot focus or be there for someone that needs you unless you are working on what's going on inside you. So, for instance, if you are going through a relationship woe, there's some kind of situation in your relationship, or you are looking for a new relationship, or you are initially in a new relationship and something comes up with you that you need to deal with. And if you are broken, or you feel you're broken, you're never really broken. If you feel you're broken or you feel you're shattered and you need to work on that, then allow yourself to make yourself your number one. And we'll talk about the 5 levels of how to set boundaries with the people in your life, because what I learned from this podcast was really helpful, and it's like a guideline of what types of people, the people in your life, and how much energy of yours do they deserve at any given time. And you just prioritize these people. And so if you're of course, your spouse and your children are going to be high priority. But if you are dealing with something inside yourself, I would say, my opinion on this is that I am going to be number one. I am going to set my relationship problem aside and really deal with me. Because if I'm not on point, if I'm not mentally capable of feeding into the energy of my relationship or into myself, how can I feed into and help my relationship problem? Does that make sense? So allow yourself to put yourself first. It's okay. It's not considered selfishness. It's okay to dial back on what's going on in all your other relationships or all your other situations in life and truly work on the shit that you have. Because if you can grow and you have experience and you can get to that point of no return, you're going to be more helpful and you're going to bring more clarity and perspective to that situation in other relationships. And that's where the boundaries come in. So if those people in your life cannot accept that you are taking a time out for you, then that's where they get that's where on the priority list of how much energy they deserve from you, that's where maybe you need to reshift where they fit into your life. And it's okay. through my journey, I have had to basically kind of delete or draw back how much energy I gave in to certain people in my life that were demanding or just sucking my energy. And I'm like, this does not serve me. This type of relationship, this person does not reciprocate, and I don't feel good around this person, especially when I became more aware of my feelings around certain people. So what I learned from that wonderful podcast that I watched from the Intuitive Girls Guide is a question that you should ask yourself when you feel that you need to set some boundaries with people in your life. And the first thing I want to say that I wrote down, because I'm going to go through my notes now because we're really on the boundaries topic. Ask questions, folks. Comment, ask questions. Cock off. I don't care. I do care. I don't care if you cock off. I'll laugh. I'll laugh at your joke. Setting boundaries does not affect your limitless thinking. That's not what setting boundaries allows us to choose how we are going to react. And it gives us an option to remove ourselves, maybe from a conversation, or maybe from how many times you want to be in a certain group, or being in that group at all. Maybe you need to totally remove yourself from that group if it's not serving you, if it's draining you. Pay attention to how you start feeling around certain people and certain conversations. We don't have to be friends with everybody. Everybody does not need to like us, and we don't need to like everybody else. That's why when you feel that instant connection with people, that has happened to me, those are usually the people that I will prioritize that do get my energy. And chances are those new friendships turn into long-lasting friendships, just because that I recognize that there's like an instant connection. So ask yourself this when you're trying to set boundaries of the certain people, the certain relationships, or certain situations in your life. How much significance does this person place on my emotional well-being? And categorize it. Now, the girls in this podcast, they follow like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 would be your most highest. Like for me, I have a couple, I probably have a real close knit group, some closer family people in my social networking group that I would consider that they are number ones. So if they need me, depending on what I'm doing, they get my, full attention, and I will utilize my time for them because I get feedback. I get reciprocated that back. What I put out, I get back. And I feel good when I'm around this. I feel my energy is good. I don't feel drained. I feel like they contribute to my well-being. And then 2 would be, so then 2, 3, 4, and 5. And your 5 would be like, okay, this person in my life does not deserve much energy. They don't deserve much of my time. I'm not going to help them out with certain things when they ask, because I feel, typically for my 5, it's like, nope, they only call when they want something, or I feel like it's just a fair weather friend. So in boundaries, it's kind of weird because it's kind of like, do you remember when you're on the kickball team? That's what it feels like when you actually have to start making a list of who you want to prioritize your energy. It feels awkward at first, but it's a self-care thing. It's not selfish. It's just recognizing where and who and what kind of situations deserve your energy, because our energy is precious. And we just don't want to give it away for anybody, We can be those people pleasers and we want to please everybody, but how do you feel after, day after day after day, or year after year, your whole life if you're a people pleaser? How does that make you feel? If you're constantly complaining about helping someone, well, that's negative energy feedback, you know? So think about the next time that they want your help, or they, you know, reach out to you and they need you for something. You know, really think about what that person deserves from you and how you feel inside about it. So it's basically boundaries. They can give you that guideline to when you're like, you really can't, if you're the type of person that, you know, doesn't want to say no, but no is a full sentence, and that's all you need. That's all they need to know. And that's all you need to say is, no, I cannot help you, or I cannot have this conversation at this time. And setting boundaries just in general, if you're uncomfortable in a situation, notice that. Don't force yourself to be in that conversation. You can politely remove yourself from conversations that you know make you just not feel your energy is just being sucked by them, or you just don't want to contribute to that conversation. You have the permission. Allow yourself, give your permission to step away from that conversation or from that situation. Or if you're in like kind of a heated conversation or a heated situation, something this probably happens at work, you know, just say, I need to remove myself from this conversation so that I can think about what I want to say. And that's just being, you know, politely tactful is what it is. And that's actually like a tactic that we were taught at work, was if you're in a conversation or a meeting or something and the other person is in your face and there's, you know, maybe swear words or aggression, you have that right. And if you're, if this happens at work and your HR doesn't stick up for you at this time, then you probably want to report it, or, you know, say something to somebody about it, because that's just not acceptable. You have that right to remove yourself from that situation, from that moment, because you do not have to feel that way. So that's kind of like at work. Any other questions, comments? So watch the podcast. It was those girls, they do talk so much in detail about, and they go through more detailed in like the 5 tiers of the people, relationships, or situations. And another thing that is super handy when you're struggling with boundaries, and like what the first step to do is journal. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot on here, because I'm an automatic writer. So journaling for me is in 2 different styles. So I will journal on purpose to get my thoughts out, or to write a poem, or if I want to remember a certain meditation session, I will journal that way. Hello, Renee. The other part of my journaling style is automatic writing. And I didn't know that this was labeled this until I actually heard about it. So automatic writing for me is, I will just maybe have a topic that I will start writing about. And I can just write and write and write and write and write. And and I love to journal, because what journaling does for me and what it can do for you is, especially the automatic writing for me, is there's messages in there, in those words as I write them down, and in the sequence that they do come to me when I channel and get these messages and I have to write them down. sometimes the message is very clear and it will resonate with me, and it'll be like, this is exactly what I needed to hear, needed to write down. What's happening lately is I have been drawn to old entries of what I've been journaling. And those are making like stuff I've written like 6 months ago, a year from now. And I'll just be like, oh, I'll just randomly, get the kind of urge to go, oh, I'm just going to like read this entry of this particular topic that I, was journaling. And boy, it's like, okay, this makes sense today. This is probably why I had a urge or a sensation or, intuition to write this stuff down 6 months ago, because Spirit knew that I was going to be able to process it more today. So that's why I highly recommend, if you don't practice anything else in your daily routine, journal. And back to that point of no return topic. So when you're feeling like you're going through something really hard, you're going through a difficult time, and you're not quite sure of why you're going through it, you're not quite sure how to think about it, you're not even sure like what emotion you really should feel. And that's scary when you don't know if you should be angry, or if you should be mad, or if you should, cry. That's why journaling is helpful. So try practicing, and I think I talked about this before, is try practicing gratitude. Journal things that you are grateful for. And because it does help put the words to the pen to the paper. And so you're like, okay, this is how I feel. This is what I'm grateful for. And when you can start writing down, even this is how I feel, this is how this makes me feel, and start asking yourself, why am I grateful for this? What am I grateful for? And then what I like to do is, when my gratitude list is, I'll start it out, and I've been doing this every day now this week, is I am grateful for this. And then I'll write down because of how that particular thing makes me feel. And so that's a great way to practice gratitude. And it's a great way of just kind of getting out of your Hollywood head and getting out of creating all those imaginary scenarios that the unknown. Stop doing that. That's a waste of energy. You do not need to be in your Hollywood head. You need to be in your heart. You need to be in your heart. So when life gets you down and you're feeling lost and you're feeling shattered, one of the things that I learned this last week with my shift is that I just need to practice stillness, because I'm a doer, I'm a goer, I'm a planner. And I've usually got all kinds of projects going on in my head. And so when I can recognize that I'm feeling this shift, or I'm feeling a little wonky in one area or another, I have been forced by Spirit. They have told me, and the oracle cards and all my journaling, it's like calm, stillness, breathe, meditate. Just finding some stillness, just finding some calmness, even if it's just sitting alone and quiet for 10 minutes. Just be in that moment. It's amazing how much better you feel after that. Chances are you're going to be able to process a thought, quietly, more calmly, without too many racing thoughts at one time. That's what my problem is. I have way too many racing thoughts about when I'm starting to feel that shift and what is going to come up with that situation or that emotion that I need to deal with, you know. So, any questions? I am taking appointments again for at least an hour. I like to do an hour oracle card reading. Travis has achieved his Reiki Master certification. So he is really ready to get into his practice. He offers Reiki sessions at our house. He has a table that we use, and we just set up our room. It's very safe. It's cozy. It's confidential, and his charges are $35. So you can reach out to Travis or myself. And we also do Reiki and reading. We did one last Friday for a gal. So she came in and she had an intent, and she had some dis-ease. She had some pain that she'd been suffering for a while. So she came in and she did Reiki with Travis. And then after the Reiki session, then we felt she, you know, her energies were good. And then we did the Oracle card. So you can just do the Oracle card with me, or you can just do the Reiki session with Travis, or you can get a little discount and have them both. So I think I read all my cards, right? I thought I had one more. Oh, okay. I want to read one more of Angela Rose's card here before I let you guys all go tonight. So the card is let go, let flow. Control, for the most part, is an illusion. Do I have my people pleasers, my controllers watching still? We can't control other people, places, things, but we can control how we respond to them. What if everything that feels out of control is unfolding for your highest growth? What lesson is here for you to learn about yourself? Come back home. Listen to a guided meditation for 5 minutes. Breathe, then list all the things you can control. Hint, you can only control yourself, your thoughts, your decisions, and your actions. And I like to add in there, and your reactions. Mantra, I am fully supported. I can let go of worry and trust in life. So this card is very fitting for all three topics that we were discussing tonight. So I really like that I kind of randomly picked this one in a hurry, because be true to yourself. That's first. Pause, allow, breathe, repeat. Be true to yourself. Accept that you're not perfect. Accept that you don't have all the answers. Give your permission to feel your emotions. Don't stop there then. Now you need to react. Now you need to respond to those things that come forward. And now you need to act on them and really figure out, why am I feeling this way? What is the root cause? What can I do to help me get back to feeling good? And then the third, do I need to set some boundaries? Do I need to reevaluate my boundaries? Those are my 3 topics for tonight. Reach out if you would like some R&R with Travis and I. A little R&R with T and T. I recently was exposed to, not COVID, I was exposed to an opportunity to be at the Bloomer Floral in October. I can't make it this coming Wednesday for the ladies' night, but Amanda did reach out, and I have agreed to be there in October. So I will be doing like the one card, Oracle card kind of demo intro that I did at Crush Nutrition. Here, I think that was in April. And that went well. That was fun. That was really fun. Get my name out there, you know, get people aware that, you know, anybody can do Oracle cards, that can use that modality. And it's fun. There's so many Oracle cards out there. Even like young kids can actually get in tune with their tuition. We all have it, folks. We all have the ability. It's just a matter of surrendering and allowing and learning how to use Oracle cards. And then we are having a forgiveness ceremony at our house on the full moon. I believe it's at September. I don't have that exact date. There is, I think I have an event on this Facebook group. So that will be donation, if you want to leave a donation. And what we did at the last one was we talk about what forgiveness is, why it's important, and that is one of the things that I was advised in the beginning of my spiritual journey is I need to forgive. I need to forgive myself first, and I need to forgive others for what they have done to me and what I have done to them. We will then, there's homework. So like I try to prep everybody to have either a list or of who they want to forgive or what they want to forgive for. And then if everybody feels comfortable, you do not have to, but if you feel comfortable, then you can recite or read your forgiveness letter out loud. A lot of what happens is I get the response, I'm not reading mine. I'm not reading mine. That's okay. I don't push. But as we all get together and the energies all connect, and a lot of people that said they weren't going to read their letter, they actually, you know, feel safe and they know that it's going to help. And so they end up reading their letter. And then we had, because we did this in January, I think. And then we have a little campfire, and then we burn our letters. And then there's a little free gift that I give, and then we have some treats and a little social hour. So I think this one is actually on a weekend, the full moon one that I'm doing in September. So check that out. And then in October, I will be at I think it's the last Wednesday in October. And so we're going to, it's Halloween, so I'll be dressed up, and I think I might bring my crystal ball and wear my, get like a witch's costume. So, all right, folks, once again, reach out if you need some guidance, if you want to pull some cards, or if you just want to chat. I'm here for whatever service you need, and Travis is here as well. He is actually embarking on his shaman certificate. It's a 12-month course, 1 day a month that they go learn, and he'll have his shaman. So he'll be able to help people using his shaman skills. All right, folks, thank you for watching. I love you all. Is there anything I want to say? I think I've addressed everything. A lot of my content is from experience. A lot of my content is from messages that I get because I ask and I try to channel. I channel, to get messages. And then the rest of my content is just things that resonate with me, that make sense, and that I have applied in my daily life that makes sense to me. All right, folks, I love you all. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Love you all.